All right, so we're going to look at green steel today,
Okay.
more specifically Sarawak, a Malaysian state,
Right.
and whether they could become a green steel-making giant
Yeah.
using this new tech called flash iron making.
Interesting.
You sent me some fascinating reports on this, including research papers
Hmm.
and insights from the U.S. Department of Energy and even the American Iron and Steel Institute.
So Sarawak might have a unique advantage in this emerging field, but to understand why, we need to take a step back and look at how steelmaking works now
Okay.
and just how much of a carbon footprint it leaves behind.
Okay, so let's go with the old school way for first blast furnaces.
Right.
I know those things are basically huge coal-powered ovens.
Yeah.
Not exactly known for being eco-friendly.
Right. The blast furnace process uses coal to melt iron ore and extract the iron.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the industry standard for centuries.
Right.
But it comes with a massive carbon footprint. We're talking about almost 2 tons of carbon dioxide released for every ton of steel produced.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is.
So how does this flash iron making thing change the game?
Yeah.
The research mentions it's way faster and cleaner.
So imagine this. Finely ground iron ore powder gets injected into a furnace that's superheated.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of hours in a blast furnace,
Okay.
the chemical reaction happens in just a few seconds, like 3 to 6 seconds.
Wow.
And you get these glowing droplets of liquid iron.
Hold on seconds.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
It's
Compared to the hours it takes in a blast furnace?
Right.
Is that speed the main advantage, or are there more environmental benefits too?
The speed's a huge factor, but what's really exciting is that flash iron making completely eliminates the need for coal.
Okay.
Studies suggest it could reduce CO2 emissions by a whopping 90%
Wow.
compared to traditional methods.
Okay.
Plus, there's potential to use hydrogen as a fuel source,
Right.
which would make the process even cleaner.
So it's not just a little bit better. It's a potentially massive shift towards truly green steel.
It really is a game changer.
But why is Sarawak specifically so well positioned to take advantage of this?
Well, Sarawak has something most other places don't.
Right.
An abundance of cheap green electricity thanks to their hydroelectric dams.
Right.
Remember, flash iron making requires a lot of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and having access to clean energy sources is crucial for making it truly sustainable.
So their hydropower is like the secret ingredient that could turn Sarawak into a green steel powerhouse.
It could.
But what about the practicalities of setting this up? I mean, is it really that easy to just switch over from blast furnaces to this new technology?
There are definitely challenges.
Okay.
And we'll dive into those more later.
Okay.
But the economics of flash iron making are pretty compelling.
Okay.
The process itself has lower capital and operating costs than blast furnaces, especially when you factor in the low cost of natural gas,
Right.
which they also have a lot of that's currently used in the process.
Yeah. So it's not just good for the environment. It could be a major economic win for Sarawak.
Definitely.
But wouldn't they still need to import iron ore?
Well,
Doesn't that add to the carbon footprint?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
One of the cool things about flash iron making is that it works really well with lower grade iron ore,
Okay.
the kind that's readily available in Southeast Asia.
Oh, okay.
So they might not even need to import high grade ore from far away.
That makes sense. Sourcing materials locally definitely helps with the whole sustainability angle.
It does.
Okay. I'm starting to see how all the pieces could fit together for Sarawak to become a green steel hub.
Yeah.
But I know there's some technical challenges with this flash iron making thing.
Sure.
The reports mentioned something about problems with the furnace linings.
Yeah, one of the big challenges is the refractory lining of the furnaces.
Okay.
These linings have to withstand incredibly high temperatures.
Right.
And the corrosive nature of molten iron. Right now, finding materials that can hold up under those conditions is a major area of research.
So it's like finding the right armor for the furnace
Exactly.
to survive the intense heat of the process.
Yeah.
I imagine that's not an easy task.
To not.
Are there any promising solutions on the horizon?
There are a few different approaches being explored.
Yeah.
One involves using new ceramic materials designed to be more resistant to heat and corrosion.
Oh.
Another approach focuses on improving the cooling systems
Mm-hmm.
to better manage the heat stress on the linings.
It sounds like a race against time to develop these solutions before flash iron making can be scaled up successfully.
Yeah, it definitely is. And the lining isn't the only challenge.
Right.
Another one is figuring out how to efficiently collect those tiny, super hot iron droplets
Yeah.
that form during the process.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
It sounds like trying to catch sparks from a bonfire.
Yeah.
It's a tricky
How do
problem.
they even begin to tackle that? One promising method they're looking into is using a cyclone system.
Okay.
It's basically a chamber where the hot gas and iron droplets are spun around at high speed.
Mm-hmm.
This creates centrifugal force that separates the heavier iron droplets from the gas,
Oh,
allowing them to be collected.
so it's like a high-tech centrifuge for molten iron.
It is.
Pretty ingenious.
Yes.
But all this sounds incredibly complex
It is.
and potentially dangerous. What about the safety of the workers involved in flash iron making?
You're right to bring that up.
Yeah.
Safety is paramount. And while working with molten iron at such high temperatures always carries risks,
Yeah.
flash iron making actually offers some inherent safety advantages over traditional blast furnaces.
Really? How so? I'd think speed and intense heat would make things riskier.
Well, think about it. In a blast furnace, you have this massive pool of molten iron sitting there for hours.
Right.
With flash iron making, the process is so rapid.
Okay.
There's much less molten iron present at any given time.
So less molten iron means less potential for catastrophic accidents.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
But I imagine there are still incredibly strict safety protocols in place.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're talking about extensive safety training, specialized protective gear,
Okay.
and sophisticated monitoring systems to detect any anomalies in the process.
Wow.
The goal is to create a work environment where safety is woven into every aspect of the operation.
Well, it's reassuring to know they're prioritizing safety alongside innovation.
Yes.
But even if we solve the technical challenges and ensure worker safety, there's still the bigger question of overall environmental impact.
Right.
We've talked about the potential for near-zero emissions from the steelmaking itself,
Yeah.
but what about the energy needed to power the whole operation?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
We can't just look at the emissions from the furnace in isolation.
Right.
We have to consider the entire life cycle of the process.
Mhm.
And that's where Sarawak's abundant hydroelectric power plays a critical role.
So by using clean energy to power the flash iron-making process,
Right.
they're essentially multiplying the environmental benefits.
Exactly. They're reducing their carbon footprint at every stage of the game.
Okay.
But to get a truly comprehensive picture of the sustainability,
Yeah.
we also need to consider the environmental impact of natural gas production.
Right, because even though natural gas is considered a cleaner fossil fuel,
Yeah.
it still contributes to greenhouse gas emissions.
It does.
Yeah. Okay, so there's more to the sustainability equation than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion,
Yeah.
revealing the complexities beneath the surface.
Right.
But even with those considerations, it seems like flash iron making in Sarawak has the potential to be a major step forward in green steel production.
I agree. The potential is huge.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the environmental benefits.
Right.
This could also be a game changer for Sarawak's economy.
It's amazing to think about the ripple effects this could have on the steel industry, on Sarawak, and maybe even on the global stage.
Yeah,
But we're just scratching the surface here.
we are.
There's so much more to explore about the challenges and opportunities facing Sarawak as they venture into this new frontier of green steel making.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be diving into in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll take a closer look at Sarawak's unique advantages
Okay.
and the potential hurdles they'll need to overcome to realize their green steel ambitions.
That's good.
Picking up where we left off, let's delve deeper into how Sarawak's unique advantages could position it as a global leader in green steel.
Okay.
We've already talked about how their hydroelectric dams provide them with a massive amount of clean energy.
Right, and that clean energy seems to be the key to unlocking the potential of flash iron making.
Exactly.
It solves the problem of relying on fossil fuels
Yeah.
for such an energy-intensive process.
By harnessing hydropower, Sarawak can power their steel production with renewable energy, significantly reducing their reliance on fossil fuels
Right.
and shrinking their carbon footprint.
Yeah.
It's a move that aligns perfectly with the increasing global demand for sustainably produced materials.
It's almost like they're ahead of the curve. Industries are under pressure to become more eco-friendly,
Yeah.
and consumers are increasingly looking for products
Right.
made with sustainable practices in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Sarawak could really capitalize on this trend by offering steel that's produced with a minimal carbon footprint.
Absolutely. And it's not just about appealing to environmentally conscious consumers.
Right.
There are also economic benefits tied to Sarawak's hydropower.
Right.
Their electricity costs are relatively low compared to regions that rely heavily on fossil fuels.
So it's a win-win situation.
It is.
They can produce steel that's better for the planet and easier on the wallet.
Yeah.
But producing green steel is only part of the equation.
Sure.
What about the logistics of getting it to the global market?
Right.
Can Sarawak handle the transportation and infrastructure demands of becoming a major steel exporter?
That's a critical question.
Yeah.
And it's one that Sarawak will need to address strategically.
Okay.
Scaling up steel production to meet global demand
Mm-hmm.
would require significant investments in infrastructure. We're
Uh-huh.
talking about expanding their transportation networks,
Right.
improving port facilities,
Yeah.
and ensuring the efficient movement of raw materials and finished products.
So it's like building a steel superhighway,
Yeah,
making sure everything is connected and operating smoothly
exactly.
to handle the increased flow of goods.
And it's not just about physical infrastructure.
Okay.
There's also the human element to consider.
Right.
They'll need to develop a skilled workforce
Yeah.
capable of operating and maintaining this new technology.
Mm-hmm.
This will require investing in education and training programs to equip people with the necessary skills.
So it's about creating a whole ecosystem
It is.
to support this new industry. Attracting talent, fostering innovation, and building a sustainable foundation for growth.
Precisely. And by positioning itself as a leader in green technology, Sarawak could also attract international collaboration and investment.
Right.
Think about the potential for knowledge transfer and the development of even more sustainable technologies.
It's like they could become a hub for innovation, drawing in experts and researchers from around the world who are passionate about creating a more sustainable future.
This exchange of ideas and expertise could have far-reaching impacts,
Yeah.
not just on Sarawak's steel industry, but on other sectors as well.
Okay, so we've talked about the economic benefits, the need for infrastructure development, and the potential for attracting global collaboration.
Right.
But let's face it, no major undertaking is without its challenges.
True.
What are some of the potential roadblocks that Sarawak might encounter on its path to becoming a green steel powerhouse?
One of the biggest challenges relates to the very nature of flash iron making itself. It's a relatively new technology,
Yeah.
and there are still technical hurdles to overcome. We talked about the refractory linings of the furnaces
Right.
and the need for efficient iron powder collection systems.
Yeah.
These are areas where ongoing research and development are crucial.
So even though flash iron making holds enormous promise,
It does.
it's not quite a plug-and-play solution.
Right.
There's still a lot of work to be done to refine the technology and make it commercially viable on a large scale.
And beyond the technical challenges,
Right.
there are also economic and political considerations. The global steel market is highly competitive,
Right.
and Sarawak will need to navigate complex trade dynamics and establish itself as a reliable and cost-effective supplier.
Right. They can't just assume that everyone will automatically switch to buying green steel. They'll need to compete on price, quality, and reliability.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important point. The success of Sarawak's green steel ambitions will depend heavily on government policies and incentives.
Okay.
Creating a favorable regulatory environment that encourages investment in green technologies
Right.
and supports the development of a sustainable steel industry will be essential.
So it's not just about having the right technology and resources.
It's not.
It's also about having the right political will and a clear roadmap for success.
Absolutely. And there's also the social dimension to consider.
Okay.
Any large-scale industrial development will have an impact on local communities.
Right.
It's crucial to engage with stakeholders, address concerns, and ensure that the benefits of this new industry are shared equitably.
It's about striking a balance between economic growth and social responsibility.
It is.
Making sure that the transition to green steelmaking is beneficial for both the environment and the people of Sarawak.
Well said. And I think that's one of the most exciting aspects of this story.
Okay.
It's not just about technology or economics. It's about the potential for a truly sustainable development model.
Yeah.
One that benefits everyone involved.
It's a powerful narrative.
It is.
But it's important to remember that we're still in the early stages of this journey.
We are.
There are many challenges ahead.
Yeah.
And the path to success is rarely straightforward.
True. But the stakes are high, and the potential rewards are immense.
Right?
If Sarawak can successfully navigate these challenges and realize its vision for green steelmaking, it could have a profound impact, not just on the region, but on the global effort to create a more sustainable future.
It's an inspiring thought.
It is.
And it raises even more questions about the potential ripple effects of this transformation.
Yeah.
How could Sarawak's success influence the global steel industry?
Right.
What are the implications for global trade and geopolitics?
Those are questions we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Oh, yeah?
We'll shift our focus to the global stage
All right.
and examine the broader implications of Sarawak's green steel ambitions.
So we spent the last 2 parts of this deep dive really digging into flash iron making,
Yeah.
the tech itself, and how Sarawak might be perfectly positioned to become a leader in this whole green steel movement.
Right.
Now, let's broaden our perspective and consider what Sarawak's potential success could mean for the global steel industry as a whole.
Okay.
We've already touched on the growing demand for green steel
Right.
and how Sarawak could tap into that market. But I think there are even wider ripple effects to consider.
Yeah, there are.
It's like they could become a trendsetter, showing the rest of the world that it's possible to produce steel in a way that's both economically viable and environmentally responsible.
Yeah.
Could that kind of example really shift the entire industry?
I think it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
Imagine Sarawak's green steel hitting the market and gaining traction.
Yeah.
Suddenly, companies that were hesitant to embrace sustainable practices
Right.
might find themselves facing pressure from consumers and investors who are demanding cleaner, greener products.
So it's not just about competition. Yeah. It's about raising the bar for the entire industry.
It is.
No one wants to be seen as lagging behind when it comes to sustainability.
Exactly. And as more companies start demanding green steel, the pressure on traditional steel producers to adapt and adopt cleaner technologies would only intensify.
Right.
It could even create a sort of domino effect,
Okay.
where one nation's commitment to green steel making triggers a wave of change across the entire sector.
That's a powerful image.
It is.
A single nation sparking a global transformation.
Yeah.
But wouldn't established steel-producing countries resist this change?
Wow.
I mean, they've invested heavily in traditional methods,
They have.
and switching over wouldn't be easy or cheap.
You're right, there would definitely be resistance.
Yeah.
But remember, the world is moving towards decarbonization,
Right.
and governments around the globe are setting ambitious climate targets. The steel industry, as one of the biggest emitters, is going to be under increasing pressure to clean up its act.
So it's not just about market forces.
Yeah.
It's also about regulatory pressure, pushing the industry towards a more sustainable future.
Exactly.
And in that context,
Yeah.
Sarawak's early adoption of flash iron making could give them a significant advantage.
It could, though, they could become a model for other nations looking to decarbonize their steel industries,
Right.
showcasing a pathway that's both environmentally sound and economically viable.
We've talked a lot about the environmental and economic implications.
Right.
But I'm also curious about the geopolitical side of things.
Sure.
Could access to green steel become a strategic advantage in the global arena?
Absolutely. As nations strive to reduce their dependence on fossil fuels and secure their supply chains for critical materials,
Right.
green steel could become a highly sought-after commodity.
Yeah.
Countries that can produce and export green steel will be in a strong position.
It's almost like a new kind of power dynamic emerging green steel diplomacy. Nations forming alliances and forging trade agreements based on their ability to produce this crucial resource in a sustainable way.
It's a fascinating possibility.
It is.
And it highlights how technological innovation can have far-reaching consequences, reshaping not only industries, but also the relationships between nations.
It's a reminder that we're not just talking about steel. We're talking about the future of manufacturing,
Right.
the balance of global power, and the very way we design and build the world around us.
Well said.
Yeah.
And it underscores the importance of foresight and strategic planning.
Okay.
Nations that anticipate these shifts and invest in sustainable technologies will be better positioned to thrive in the coming decades.
Sarawak seems to be taking that long view, betting on a future where green steel is the norm, not the exception.
Yeah.
But even with all the potential benefits we've discussed, there are still challenges ahead.
There are.
We've touched on the technical hurdles and the need for infrastructure development. But are there other factors that could hinder Sarawak's success?
One crucial factor is the availability of skilled labor.
Okay.
Scaling up green steel production will require a workforce that's trained in operating and maintaining these new technologies.
Right.
Sarawak will need to invest in education and training programs to ensure they have the talent pipeline to support this burgeoning industry.
It's not just about building the factories.
It's not.
It's about building the human capital to make those factories run smoothly.
Exactly. And there's also the issue of ensuring that the benefits of this new industry are shared equitably among the people of Sarawak.
Okay.
It's crucial to create a development model that's inclusive and sustainable.
Yeah.
One that doesn't leave anyone behind.
So it's about more than just economic growth.
It is.
It's about social responsibility.
Yeah.
And creating a future that's both prosperous and equitable for everyone.
Well said, and it's important to acknowledge that the transition to a truly sustainable steel industry won't happen overnight. It's a journey that will require collaboration, innovation, and a steadfast commitment to a long-term vision.
It's a reminder that progress takes time.
Yeah.
And that there will be bumps along the road.
There will.
But if Sarawak can stay the course and navigate these challenges effectively, they have the potential to become a global leader in green steelmaking.
They do.
Inspiring others to follow suit.
It's an exciting prospect.
It is.
And as we've seen throughout this deep dive, the story of Sarawak's green steel ambitions is about much more than just technology or economics.
Right.
It's a story about human ingenuity, the power of vision, and the collective effort to create a more sustainable future for our planet.
It's a story that reminds us that even in the face of complex global challenges, there's always hope.
Yeah.
And that innovation can emerge from unexpected places.
It can.
Sarawak's journey is a beacon showing us that a greener, more sustainable future is within reach if we dare to imagine it and work together to make it a reality.
I couldn't agree more. And for all of you listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope it sparked your curiosity, broadened your understanding of the challenges and opportunities facing the steel industry, and perhaps even inspired you to be part of the solution.
Keep asking questions, keep exploring new ideas, and keep pushing for a better future.
Until next time, happy diving.